Yo, what's going on, man? Today is October the 11th, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is another edition of the 2023-2024 NBA team previews, I might say. I was about to say win totals. And we're looking at today specifically, we're looking at the Atlanta Hawks and we're looking at the Los Angeles Lakers. If you've been listening in before, you've already heard breakdowns of the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets yesterday, the Clippers and the New York Knicks on last Friday. We've also broken down the Suns and the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Sacramento Kings, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, and the Milwaukee Bucks. So if you are looking for any of those, they all are recorded through YouTube. The link is for YouTube. It's Crispy Capping, 2 P's, 2 N's. And they also posted, if you guys just want to go back and listen to the actual space, they also posted on Twitter on my page as well. So welcome in to everyone. Let's get ready to talk about the Atlanta Hawks and the Los Angeles Lakers real quick. If you guys haven't done so already, definitely smash that like button for me. Subscribe to the show if you guys haven't already, and turn the notification bell on so you know when I go live. Typically, it's going to be every single time, 5:15 Eastern time every single day. But the time will change here and there. So we're doing 2 teams a day, one from the Eastern Conference, one from the Western Conference, discussing everything from odds to win the title to additions and subtraction from the team, looking at last season recap, off-season moves, and kind of projecting how the team will do based on strength of schedule for this upcoming 23-24 season. So with no further ado, let's jump right into it, man. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks first. So the Atlanta Hawks right now, you can get the Atlanta Hawks. These are live odds to win the Atlantic Division. They're plus 220. Looking at them to win the Eastern Conference, they're plus 5,500, and to win a title, they're actually 130 to 1. They're plus 13,000 to win a title. This Atlanta Hawks team is a team, in my estimation, that didn't make a lot of moves last year. You don't see a lot of guys, bought in, and they seemed a little stagnant during the offseason. We saw they did draft Kobe Bufkin, which I'm not sure if he's a guard. That I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to crack their rotation at all. They seem, like they have enough guards already. And this team did have, some key pieces last year from a developmental standpoint. When you're evaluating talent for this team. So I'm not sure how many minutes he gets this year. I don't think he'll be a big part. You also bring in Patty Mills. Does have some veteran leadership. He's able to shoot the ball, of course, as well. It gives him another shooter, but Patty Mills can't guard anybody. He's also a year slower, and it's going to be a step slower. And I'm not 100% sure what year Patty Mills is in. I know he's been playing basketball for a very, very long time, and he doesn't seem like one of the key guys that's going to get this team over the hump at all, in my estimation. You're looking at subtractions for this team. They did lose John Collins. They got rid of John Collins. Of course, last year they did fire Coach Nate McMillan towards the second half of the season after his kind of run-ins and back and forth with Trae Young. So you fire Coach Nate McMillan, you bring in Quinn Snyder, and of course this team actually, they didn't. I don't think that they achieved at the rate that they should have. They did lose in the first round, but they did take that game. What was it? I think it was 7 games is what that series ended up going. No, it ended up going 6 games because they did win game 5, I think, in Boston to force game 6. And then in game 6, Trae Young, I think it was Jason Tatum who went off in that game 6 in Atlanta to end that series. So, another underwhelming performance from my estimation for the Atlanta Hawks last season. And like I said, not a lot to really report, from what happened last year for this team. I think if you're looking at developmental perspective, you would hope that a guy like DeAndre Hunter actually takes that next step. Last year, he averaged 15 points per game in his 31 minutes. He also missed some time. He played 67 games out of the 82, so he missed 15 games due to injury. Overall, this team, wasn't too bit by the injury bug. They did miss Bogdanovich for some games. He only played in 54 games last year, which means he missed 28. And Clint Capella missed a handful of games as well. I think he missed around 17 games playing 65 games. But you did bring over a guy like Sadiq Bey, which I think that helps, right? Another guy that can kind of space the floor, can knock down the outside shot as well. And Okongwu is a big reason why, in my estimation, we saw John Collins actually let go. John Collins had been on the trading block for quite some time, but John Collins is actually not a part of that team anymore. You got AJ Griffin, Jalen Johnson. These guys were guys who kind of helped that team a lot last year. You lose Justin Holiday, who wasn't a big part of the team, but he's of course in Denver. Watched him play last night against he was actually in the starting lineup last night for Michael Porter Jr. I want to say for the Denver Nuggets. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not really high on this team. Clint Capella will still be there as a rim protector, as somebody that'll dominate the rebounds. So as far as betting on this team on a nightly basis, you will be able to make some money on them. Probably, given that they have the same type roster, given that Quinn Snyder is not a defensive-minded coach, I do think you see this team kind of run. Last year, you really cashed a lot of overs in the first half with this team. I can't remember exactly what that number is, but I do have it. Let me see if I can find that number. First half overs is a way that you can kind of bet this team. Let me see if I can find the number. I want to say they were one of the better first half teams last year as far as scoring points, but they were also giving up points. That was one of the reasons why you really just couldn't trust them. They were 44 and 36, which is 57%, 44, 36 and 2, which is 60% to the over in the first quarter. And I want to say those numbers kind of translated throughout the first half as well, even though it doesn't look like I have them right in front of me, but I can find them real quick. Let me finagle something real quick. 2023. I should have had these numbers up already. Team equals Hawks. So this was a team last year that was, let's see, pull this number up real quick. And then honestly, I don't have too much more to say about the Hawks. They actually finished 52, 36 and 1. Probably one of the better first half teams as far as scoring the ball. They averaged 30 points in the first quarter. They averaged pretty much 30 points in the second quarter, 29.9. So this was a team that was scoring, 60 points in the first half on a nightly basis, but then that total actually dropped a lot in the second half. And this is what I remember about the Atlanta Hawks. 29 points in the third quarter, and then they kind of ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, averaging just 27.5 points. So while they were scoring 60 in the first half, that number dropped, looks like, to 50, what is that, 56? Yeah, about 56 in the second half, which is when you need your offense to, a little bit more in the second half. So I think we will continue to, because the roster doesn't have a lot of turnover, I think that's what we see from the Atlanta Hawks. I think we see them kind of continue to trend in that direction of going over. We know Trae Young plays a lot of offense, but it's really hard for him to be able to get down and guard on the defensive end. Not that he doesn't give effort, but just that he's such an undersized player. DeJounte Murray also, heavily relied upon for his offense. And I think defensively, he, I wouldn't say took a step back, but he had his hands full a lot of the times when you have to guard the opposing player on the best team that's a guard every single night. So I'll be looking to back the over for the Atlanta Hawks in these spots, specifically first quarter, first half. I think we get some low numbers. Even if we get higher numbers, I do think that, we'll be able to cash those as well. I remember 117s, 118s and a half, all cashing last year. So those are my thoughts on the Atlanta Hawks. As far as win total, let me get back to my other screen. As far as win total for the Atlanta Hawks, it looks like I gave the number out already, but it looks like that number is 42 and a half. So the Atlanta Hawks actually finished, let me pull that back up real quick. The Atlanta Hawks actually finished last season with, let's see. I actually had this up too. The Atlanta Hawks actually finished last season with give me 1 second. The Atlanta Hawks finished last season with 41. They went 41 and 41 last year. 24 and 17 at home and 17 and 24 on the road. offensive rating of a 118, which was the highest. They actually had the highest points per game in the Eastern Conference, but they had one of the worst defenses as well. 118 is what they were giving up as well, which was actually the third worst in the association, behind only the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers. No other team was allowing teams to score that many points in the Eastern Conference. So, like I said, you kind of want to play on the over. I don't think, even though Clint Capella blocks some shots, he's not anybody that's going to really lock you up. So, a play on the over for the Hawks is what I would play. I'm not interested in getting. I'm not interested in playing this. Playing this win total 42.5. The books are anticipating them to win 2 more games. Could they win 2 more games? Absolutely. I will say that they do have the 6th easiest schedule as far as schedule difficulty. So as far as back-to-backs and 3rd and 4th nights and those type of things, a lot of travel situations, they're putting in a pretty good spot there. Anybody got any comments or thoughts on the Atlanta Hawks? If so, send me a request. We can talk about it. Sam said, great channel and content. Appreciate you, Sam. He said, what was the method? What was the method or rationale to understanding what or how one's action influences being on an offer available, being on a trading block? I'm not 100% sure if I understand that question, Sam. I'll reread it in a few. What's up? Somebody got EQ in the building. He says, like the preseason Kings today. Yeah, I like the Kings as well. I didn't play them. I'm probably not gonna play them because they do take on my Lakers at crypto.com tonight. But I do lean towards the Kings. They played pretty poorly in game 1 against the Toronto Raptors, and the Lakers will be without LeBron James. He's resting because of that foot. I don't think it's anything major, but they are going to keep him out of action today. So could definitely see the Kings pulling off one tonight at crypto.com arena. It looks like you guys are about interested in the Atlanta Hawks as I am as well. So we'll keep it moving and not spend too much time on the Hawks. Let's get into to my favorite team. Not my favorite team to bet on. I typically stay off the Lakers and really just don't play a lot of anything. But let's talk about them. So the Lakers are sitting right now. I find it so interesting because yesterday we talked about the Golden State Warriors, and a lot of these odds are very, very similar to the Golden State Warriors when you look at the Lakers. To win the Pacific Division, of course, this team is in the Pacific as well. They're plus 400. Golden State, when we talked about them yesterday, they were plus 390. And these are the best odds that you can find. You can find some 390s for the Lakers as well. I try to give out the best number that I'm looking at. To win the West for the Lakers, plus 750. You go back to Golden State, they were plus 750 yesterday. To win the title, the Lakers are plus 1,400. You look at Golden State, they were plus 1,400. So the books kind of got these two teams, really, really evenly matched. The Golden State Warriors win total, 48.5. You look at this Lakers win total, 47.5. And you probably could get a 48.5 if you're looking at other books as well. So what did the Lakers do? Let's kind of recap what happened in the offseason. You signed Jalen Hood, who I really, really like, the athletic light-skinned guard. I like him a lot. Does he get a lot of playing time? Probably not. The Lakers have a bunch of different guards. So I'm not sure how many minutes he gets, but I do like the other offseason acquisitions outside of one that I'll get to in a second. Jackson Hayes as a free agent coming over from the Pelicans. I actually like him. The Lakers need an additional rim protector. They want somebody that can play the 5. Of course, Anthony Davis has been anal about not wanting to be, a center in the NBA. So you bring in a guy like Jackson Hayes, which slides AD to quote unquote his natural position of being a 4. You also bring in Taurean Prince, who I like from Minnesota. We know that he's a 3-and-D type guy that can handle the pressure of guarding the opposing team's best player. So I like that you bring him in as well. He's a real gritty type of player. The Lakers didn't have to pay much for him as well. And then you go out and you grab Gabe Vincent. I think the Gabe Vincent signing reassures losing a guy like Dennis Schroeder. Gabe Vincent, somebody that's going to play hard on the defensive end. He's somebody that's going to knock down the 3-point shot. We saw what he was able to do, playing with the Miami Heat last year in their postseason run. So I like the addition to Gabe Vincent. I think he comes in, brings us some more versatility at the point guard position, really just because outside of, you don't want 2 point guards that's going to play the same exact way. And we know with D'Angelo Russell, he's going to be out there. While he can facilitate, he also going to be looking for a shot, trying to get others involved, not heavy on the defense. We know that he was cooked last year, which really put me a little low on the Lakers actually re-signing D'Lo, in him returning, just because he was so inefficient last season in that series against the Denver Nuggets, and the Nuggets didn't get any smaller this year. So not really sure how that's going to kind of pan out. But Gabe Vincent, if the Lakers are able to get back to the playoffs and play against Denver, Gabe Vincent does have, some experience against this team and some success as well. And then last but not least, Christian Wood is also picked up. Another reason why the Lakers are, wanting to add a 5-man, because, like I said, Anthony Davis doesn't want to play the 5. So Christian Wood, talked about heavily by Anthony Davis, LeBron James. They love that he brings something to this team that they don't have, and that's a big man that can shoot the ball. But with Christian Wood, what also do you get? You get Christian Wood that is really a defensive liability. We saw him last year in Dallas, not get a ton of rebounds. And this Dallas team was giving up points left and right whenever Christian Wood was on the floor. So not really 100% sure. I can do some digging and find out what his plus minus was last year. But if I'm looking at that number, I'd be surprised if he was a plus anything while he was on the floor. Because while he can contribute from the outside, and he has offensive moves, it's always been a knock to be as tall as Christian Wood is and not be able to stop anybody. So I'm not really too pleased with that. But if Anthony Davis does have somewhat of a an injury, because we know he's injury prone, Christian Wood should be able to come in, fill those minutes. Him along with Jackson Hayes is a good complementary front court along with Anthony Davis. And with Anthony Davis not in the game, if you want offense, you go Christian Wood. You want defense, you go Jackson Hayes. So I do like that there's some versatility at the backup center position, or you could just say at the center position for this Lakers team. Of course, I talked about you bring in Gabe Vincent, so you lose Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is now in Toronto playing for the Raptors, and then Malik Beasley as well, a guy who I really like. I really like Malik Beasley, but he is kind of a one-trick pony with his ability to be able to shoot the ball. He's not really someone that's going to really lock up on defense, and but he can catch fire. And if he catches fire, it can help your team a lot. I think the Lakers feel like they have enough shooting, with the emergence of Rui Hachimura, with Austin Reeves being able to, prove that he's a knockdown shooter consistently over the second half of the season. I think the Lakers feel like they had enough shooting, and Malik Beasley really just couldn't crack the rotation late into the postseason. You also lose Troy Brown Jr. I didn't write his name down, but Troy Brown Jr. is also not a part of this team either. Troy Brown Jr. is I want to say he's in Minnesota or Dallas. I feel like I just watched him play. Can't remember what team he's on, but Troy Brown Jr. also, won the Lakers a game last year, and I'm interested to see how he does on that team. But the Lakers also lose him as well. For me, when I'm evaluating this Lakers team, they went 43 and 39 last season. And when you're looking at the betting number, 40, and 2. So you didn't win any money betting the Lakers last year because you split, from a betting perspective. But if they want plus money in some of these games where you caught them, then it's probably negative ROI. What is interesting though is the second half of the season, right? We know that Anthony Davis missed time last year, LeBron James missed time last year. But they were able to really turn it around when those trades got made, and you bought in D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, right? So shout out to just everybody in that front office for the Lakers. Lot of great moves made for the Lakers. They did finish the season after the All-Star break 25 and 15 straight up, right? So while they only went 40 and 40 for the season, they did go 25 and 15 straight up down the stretch, which was actually the third best win percentage after Denver and Philly, right? So this team was winning, about 68% of their games last season after the All-Star break. They also finished 23 and 17 against the spread after starting the season 27 and 32. 27 and 32 straight up, 27, 30 and 2 against the spread. So if the Lakers are going to stay healthy, and that's a big if because LeBron James is entering season like number 30, and Anthony Davis can stay healthy, which is probably an even bigger if because we know how injury prone he is and his inability to be able to play the entirety of a full season. I do think that the Lakers will and should be able to compete for a championship. I'm not 100% sure, how serious. They take the regular season just because LeBron James is, a year older. But I do like the pieces, like I kind of talked about. I like the pieces, and I feel like this team should be able to have some success with LeBron James on the floor or off the floor throughout the regular season. When the playoffs come, of course, you're gonna want LeBron James at his best. And I'm not sure how much he ramps up for, the entirety of the season. With as many miles as he has on his body, it doesn't really seem feasible to me. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna pick and choose spots to kind of rest him. And they'll also have times where he'll play, multiple games in a row as well. So looking at that win total, 47 and a half, I'm not, feeling like I want to get there. And that's me being a Laker fan. I feel like that number is kind of spot on. I think this team should win about 48 games. Like I said, they won 40 last year, and that was with all of the difficulties with, the teams not, LeBron James and Anthony Davis not being available for all of those, all of the games that they missed. And I want to give you guys those numbers specifically as well. And as we get closer to the beginning of the regular season, I will have, I'll have ATS records and straight up records with LeBron James in the lineup last year and without LeBron James as well. LeBron only played 55 games last year. 55 games, which means that he missed that quick math is 27 games last year. Anthony Davis played 56 games last year, which means that he missed 28 games, 26 games last year as well. So the sky is kind of limited if this team can stay healthy, I do think. As far as the scheduling perspective, the Lakers had one of the easiest schedule last year. They didn't play a lot of back-to-backs. They weren't flying in, and playing a lot of third game in 4 nights. The travel scenario for the Lakers was really good last year. I can't remember exactly what that number was. This year, however, there is a little bit more difficulty. This team actually has the 4th most difficult schedule. And when I talk about schedule difficulty, for people who don't know, I'm talking about not just, the back-to-backs that are scheduled in the third game in 4 nights, the 4th game in 5 nights, the 5th game in 7 nights. But this also takes into account the opposing team's win percentage from the previous year. So the Lakers, of course, are in the Pacific Division. We know how stacked that division is. Of course, everybody in that division, has potential not just to make the playoffs, but to go really, really deep. I'm talking about the Warriors, talking about the Clippers, the Suns, and of course the Sacramento Kings, who finished in the 3rd seed last year in the Western Conference. So while this division is super stacked, like I've been saying this throughout the entirety of, looking at these, specifically the Western Conference teams, I, in my heart of hearts, feels like the team that stays the healthiest is actually the team that's going to have the most success. And that goes for the Denver Nuggets. That goes for every team that I just mentioned in the Pacific Division, as well as the Southwest Division as well. And I don't think it's a lot of teams that can compete in the Southwest, but I do think that the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies and the Pelicans are 2 teams that I'm not high on the Dallas Mavericks. I'll be fading them at the beginning of the season. I think that they're just not healthy. I also don't like that they don't have a rim protector that has a lot of experience in the NBA. They're starting a rookie from Duke, Lively, and I'm not real big on him. Also not a big Maxi Kleber guy as far as his ability to be able to protect the rim. Dwight Powell just doesn't do it for me. And Kyrie and Luka just play offense in my estimation. Can't really lock anybody up. So while I like the individual players, I'm a big fan of Seth Curry and a big fan of Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm just not a big fan of that team together collectively. So I don't think that they have a chance. But there are teams in this, in the Western Conference that if they stay healthy, it's going to be really interesting to see how that cookie kind of crumbles in my estimation. So if I'm planning anything for the Lakers, I'm probably not. If I had to play anything for the Lakers, I'm probably not playing anything. I don't like the win total. I think it's right. I think it's about right at 48.5. Could they win 45 games? I think they absolutely could. Would it surprise me if they won 50? I don't think so. But the health of Anthony Davis over the course of his career is really, has me scared. When we're talking about locking up our money for the entirety of a season and having to bet on, and we're betting on AD to stay healthy and LeBron James to stay healthy throughout the entirety of the season, it's not something I feel extremely confident in. So I wouldn't tell you guys to do it either, even though this is my team. From a odds perspective, to win the title, to win the West, or win the Pacific Division, I don't think that that's their goal. I don't think that the goal. Well, I'll start with the Pacific. I don't think the Pacific Division is a goal of the Lakers. So if I'm tying up, 4-1 odds for the Lakers to win the Pacific Division, I'm probably not making that bet either. I think at this point in LeBron James' career, they're fine with going on the road and having to win. We saw them, able to do it last year twice because the Lakers were the lower seed team in the first round against the Memphis Grizzlies, and they knocked them off at home in game number 6. And we also saw them do it against Golden State as well. Another game 6 win for the Los Angeles Lakers. They were able to get both of those. They were able to go on the road and win multiple games in the playoffs last year. So it wouldn't surprise me if this team says, you know what, like we're not worried about winning the Pacific Division, right? I kind of put that on younger teams that feel like they have to, a lot to kind of prove to themselves. The Lakers get into the playoffs, and I think they'll be completely happy outside of them actually winning home court advantage. I don't think that's a big deal at all. So those are my thoughts on the Lakers. I wouldn't play this team based on the schedule difficulty, based on the injury history with LeBron James and Anthony Davis over the course of the last couple of years. I would not, play this win total over 47.5. I think that number is probably spot on in my estimation. I wouldn't play them to win anything right now. I think we'll get better odds for them to win the title or to win the West if you're looking at that after the season starts. And real quick, I want to look at the schedule. I feel like it's a pretty difficult schedule to start. When I was looking at it, trying to map one of these games out and figure out when I'm gonna get to LA, I typically go at the end of October, at the beginning of November, but I don't think that's gonna be. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that this year. So I was already looking at the schedule, trying to figure out, when we play what. But the season starts. It's a difficult start to the season. Denver. To start the season, of course, that'll be the opening night TNT game at 7:30. Watch the Denver Nuggets get their rings. I will be on the Lakers in that game. I think it's a plus 5.5 still available at Barstool right now. That is a bet that I'm willing to make. I do like the comments coming from Anthony Davis about LeBron James and him having a conversation saying that Denver kind of rubbed it in. And I do expect Denver to kind of come out the gate, swinging a little slowly. I talked about that when I did the Denver Nuggets, podcast or team preview earlier, actually last Tuesday when we first started doing these. So I will be on Denver in the first game. I haven't put that bet in yet, but I'm sorry, I will be on the Lakers in the first game plus 5.5. I think Denver has. They still got Jokic. They still got Jamal Murray. They still got Michael Porter Jr. They still got Aaron Gordon. But outside of that, I think the loss of Bruce Brown, Christian Braun, I think he's healthy, but he was a healthy scratch yesterday. But those role players, losing Jeff Green, I think is going to be big for them. So, needless to say, like I said, I'm just kind of giving analysis of why I like the Lakers. The Lakers have more less turnover on their roster, and everybody kind of has that camaraderie and chemistry. I'm pretty sure they're going to be fired up, being that they got swept by the Denver Nuggets last year and probably take that game serious to start the season. But after that, you go to Phoenix comes to you, which we know Phoenix is going to be a juggernaut this year. This team is, going to be able to score buku amounts of points. And then you got Sacramento. So, 3 really difficult games to start the season. We're talking about the defending NBA champs, super team in Phoenix this year, a Sacramento Kings team that finished top 3 in the Western Conference last year. Then you come home and you got Orlando. Orlando will not be a pushover at all this year. I really, really like what I saw from Isaac Brown yesterday. And then you got the Clippers, which we know that the Clippers own the Lakers. Lakers, for some reason, just can't beat the Clippers over the last 4 or 5 years. Then you got a road trip that you start, and you go to Orlando, to Miami, to Houston, to Phoenix. And that'll be a difficult road trip as well. So, it's not looking good for this Lakers early schedule. And we got to see how many games LeBron James actually play at the beginning of the season and how Coach Hams tries to, divvy out the games that are important and the games that he'll participate in versus the games that he won't. Because we know there's going to be scheduled rest for LeBron James entering, his 20th season in the NBA. It only makes sense, right? Based on longevity and what you actually need him for, which will be the playoffs. So those are my thoughts on the Lakers, man. Anybody got any thoughts on the Lakers? If so, send me a request. I'll go through the YouTube comment section real quick before I get out. Going back to what Sam said. Sam says, what is one reason to be on or off the trading block by choice, if that hints at anything? What is one reason to be on or off the trading block by choice? I think on or off the trading block by choice. I think think you could be on if you just want to get out the situation, right? Maybe you air that out to the team and you tell them that you want to be moved. That's what comes to my mind. Uh, Joe K says, any thoughts for the WNBA game? I'm actually gonna go over the WNBA game, Joe. I'm gonna do a quick video as well, posted on my page also. And I haven't put the bets in yet, but I will be on the Liberty plus 5.5 today. I think on FanDuel is minus 114. I'm also on the under 171.5 as well. The Aces are a really good team, but I don't think that they play as well as they played in the last game, back-to-back games. I think the Liberty come out with a more sense of a desperation. They play defense. They also 9-0 after a loss this season, so they haven't lost back-to-backs. Of course, you're going up against the Aces and you're on their home floor, but I think we see a much better effort, like a much better full effort from the Liberty. I think they actually win the game today. Those are just my thoughts, but I think they do win the game and go back to New York 1-1. So I'm glad you asked about the WNBA though. Those casual lives in the chat. Any thoughts on the WNBA? Yeah, Sam, I just kind of gave out my thoughts on WNBA. Jarrell says, my boy Crispy Cabin back. Salute. My guy, let's get to the bag. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. And EQ says, I'd say yes if they stay healthy. So I think he likes the win total to go over if the Los Angeles Lakers can stay healthy. But literally, that's all I got for you guys, man. Like I said, like the video if you guys came in late. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube page. Give me a follow on Twitter. If you guys are new, I do shows every single day, Monday through Friday, typically at 5:15 Eastern time. Well, myself and whoever else wants to chip in, can share their thoughts on what they liking for today's slate. So definitely, feel free to hit that like button for me and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do have a members only section where I give out my plays before I give them out. So you're getting most of the time we get a little bit of CLV in those plays. And last year we did really, really well. I'm not somebody that charges $150 or even $50 a month. It's just $5.99 a month. It's just a small contribution. If you guys are looking for that link, it's posted on YouTube as well. Also, I'm gonna be doing some Substack writings as well. For people who don't know what Substack is, it's kind of like Medium. If you don't know what Medium is, it's kind of like a I wouldn't say a journalist style app, but it's a place where you can just write, more about your thoughts. As you guys can tell, I can be a little long winded, so sometimes it's easier for people to be able to go back and read my write up. So you will be able to catch my plays over on Substack. I did some Substack writing for the WNBA over the course of this season. And I think we actually cashed like majority of those plays as well. So I will be doing some of those. Also, podcasts will be available on Apple Music, on Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else that you guys stream podcasts from. So I'll try to get those out as well and post those. But safest bet is going to be to turn the notification bell on over on YouTube and over on Twitter for everything. Black Thor, my God, what's going on? How you doing today, bro?
Yo, Chris, what's up with you, man? How you?
I'm good, man. I cannot complain. I cannot complain at all. What you got to contribute for the show today? What we going back to Atlanta, or are you looking at the Lakers?
Oh man, I ain't got nothing for Atlanta, man. Stay with the Lakers, man. Atlanta, good luck to them, man.
Absolutely, that's how I felt too.
As far as the Lakers, I'm actually I'm a Sixers fan, but I'm actually really big on the Lakers this season. Regular season is kind of like meh with the team, but honestly, the Lakers are my dark horse, are probably the team I would pick to win the championship.
Okay.
From last year's perspective, if you look at how they match up in the playoffs, they could play to any style. When Memphis had a smaller team, they dominated on the glass and they defended. When they played the Warriors, they took away what the Warriors did. And if you remember, one of the reasons why the Warriors got Chris Paul is because they said that, they really couldn't do too many things. And as long as, again, the big if with the Lakers, the two guys staying healthy, Davis and LeBron James, I really liked your team. I actually thought that offseason was pretty good. And the other thing is it's opportunity. You said earlier that LeBron James had played about 55 games, and, that was due to injury. And honestly, if he plays 65, that's probably a bonus, even if it's not injury, because the regular season for him specifically doesn't matter. For the league, it matters. But for him specifically, he's not judged on the regular season.
That's a fact.
How he's performed in the playoffs, and I know he wants that fifth ring, and I know they're going for it. And the word is opportunity. So with LeBron missing games, from kind of a team and a player perspective, if you look at value, you have guys like Austin Reeves, Cam Reddish, Rory Hachimura, who have big games sometimes in the playoffs. A lot of these guys are going to have a ton of opportunity when LeBron James sits, you know. So the word is opportunity to me. But a lot of these different players, Austin Reeves too, Anthony Davis, like I said, when LeBron doesn't play, it's a ton of opportunity for a lot of guys which kind of have, you know, so up and down inconsistent careers to really have an opportunity to make an imprint on their team.
Black Thor, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And I think that's why, you know, if you're part of the, you know, the Lakers general managing team, then that's your job, right? You want to be able to go out and make it so that the product that's on the floor, if LeBron James is unavailable to play, is still a product that can still compete, right? And that's what we saw last year, like right when the Lakers were dogs in a lot of those games because, you know, LeBron James was trying to come back from injury and Anthony Davis was trying to come back from injury. And if we remember, you know, if you follow them closely as I do, you remember, you know, right before Anthony Davis came back, LeBron got hurt. So they kind of missed each other, and then both of them were able to play together at the end of the season. But because Austin Reeves was able to show up, because Jared Vanderbilt was able to show up, because Rui Hachimura had that opportunity that you're talking about, he excelled, right? It was one of the things that earned him the contract. It was one of the things that earned Austin Reeves, you know, the extension as well. And you bring in D'Angelo Russell, somebody that, you know, can move LeBron off the ball. He doesn't have to play as much point guard, right? And all of those things are good for the longevity of for LeBron, Black Thor, because he's not having to do as much. So actually, I would agree with everything you said.
And the other thing is, I know you've been keeping up. I've been keeping as many tabs with the Lakers and the Nuggets. It's real cute. They back and forth. Mike Malone recently was like walking back some comments about them. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm with you, Chris. I'm with the Lakers versus the Nuggets. Y'all been saying too much. Again, credit where credit was due. They beat them, and again, they did what they did with in the postseason last season in the playoffs. But again, it's a new season, and sometimes when you win that championship, you might be feeling yourself come out a little flat. You know, you're doing your victory like you're supposed to. You did what your job was. But that first game, the Lakers is coming for blood, man. I definitely believe, you know, with all the eyes on the NBA, they're gonna want to make a statement on that opening night.
That is a fact, Black Thor. I talked about this at the beginning of I think I talked about it at the beginning of the team previews when I was looking at Denver, and I said that I have the numbers written down. I just don't have them right in front of me. But fading the team that won the championship, you know, the first month and a half of the season has been extremely profitable. I looked at Jamal Murray and Jokic yesterday. They both look like they done put on a couple pounds since last season, right? Like, no, I'm being, you know, in all honesty, like it feels like they've, you know, kind of done that. And if you go back, I dissected the numbers. If you go back, those teams that win the championship, they do not start the season off hot the next year. So there will be value on taking some of these dogs in that spot. You go back and look at the Warriors because they won the championship the year before the Denver Nuggets did last year. And well, yeah, you can say last year now, but the Golden State Warriors struggled out the gate. You go back before that, the Milwaukee Bucks, they struggled out the gate, and the list just kind of goes on and on, right? So I do think that with Denver, because they're going to have to figure out how to replace, you know, Bruce Brown, because you want to monitor the minutes of, you know, Nikola Jokic, and your backup center is DeAndre Jordan, who has nothing in common with Jokic. It is gonna be it's gonna be difficult, Black Thor. So I like I said, I haven't put the bet in yet, and it's going down to 5 on most books, but I think it was a plus 5.5 when I looked the other day over on Barstool. So if people are looking for that, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, the last thing, I think you said about it earlier. I think the Warriors, you said the Warriors and the Lakers were tied for plus 14. Listen, the Warriors, to me, give respect, you know, from odds makers just because they're such an accomplished team. So just off of that alone. But as far as talent and teams that can, you know, play different styles in the playoffs and really can having a chance with two different guys kind of really, you know, taking over the game, I love the value for the Lakers to win everything, man. Like I said, regular season at 47, because you don't know who's playing night to night. But as far as the final thing, I love the Lakers as a long shot to win the championship. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. I couldn't talk you off, like though. I could not talk you off for you know putting that ticket in. Maybe we wait and get some value on that, Black Thor, especially if you know these teams that maybe feel like they have something to prove come out and you know want to establish themselves early. Let's just say a team like the Phoenix Suns come out and win you know 15 of their first 16 games. their odds will shrink, of course, and everybody else's odds will get a little bit bigger. So we may be able to, catch a little bit of value, especially if, a guy like, let's say LeBron James or Anthony Davis do go down with an injury, and it's not a, a long-term injury. The books will react to that news as well, and we'll get increased odds for the Lakers to win a title at greater than plus 1,400 in my estimation. So I would agree with you there, man. And the biggest thing to kind of wrap up the Lakers and put a bow on it is, I always talk about, these teams. And I'm always willing to back the team that's going to play defense, because defense is effort. And that's what we really, really saw from the Lakers last season. I want to pull up the numbers real quick. Postseason, you look at the advanced numbers for the Lakers. This team, their defensive rating actually jumped all the way to 5th. It was a 110. And this is when teams kind of turned it on, especially the teams that had to. The Golden State Warriors were the best defensive team post All-Star break last year with a defensive rating of 103, 102.9, 103. You saw the Pelicans do the same thing. We know that they were fighting for a playoff spot, a play-in spot. Chicago Bulls, they were also in the same predicament. And, of course, the Denver Nuggets, they kind of locked down towards the end of the season. Boston, Philly. So all of these teams that are on this list that played the best defense were all teams that, of course, ended up, making it to the playoffs. And I want to say all of them got out of the first round besides the Chicago Bulls as well. So that this is a microcosm of who this Laker team can be, in my estimation. And I think, just all of them kind of being there and, kind of gaining some chemistry and some camaraderie over the course of the season and the offseason. I know they spend some time together as well. To me, just, it does put them in the driver's seat. But the big question, of course, will be health. So we'll see how that goes, man. I appreciate your comments and your thoughts, Black Thor. I think we're pretty aligned there. Real quick before I get off of here, I want to touch on what EQ said in the chat. Just looking at some NFL, he says he liked the Vikings minus 2.5. They cover comfortably versus the Bears. I don't know about that, man. I do not know about that. The Bears have actually looked good 2 weeks in a row. Defense had the big lapse against the Denver Broncos 2 weeks ago, and then last week, of course, they smashed the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. That game was never even close. So with that, when you play on Thursday, you get a couple extra days, so it's almost like a mini bye week. And I think that they will be waiting for the Vikings. The Vikings are one of the worst teams in football. You lose Justin Jefferson, of course. Can they get it done? Absolutely, but I don't think it's going to be as easy, EQ. And Sam says that as well. He says the Bears are a formidable opponent, and I would think so as well. I think that's going to be a really difficult game, and it really wouldn't surprise me if either team won that game by 3 points, 4 points. You're looking at a Bears team, a Vikings team that can't run the ball at all. So everything is going to be on, Kirk Cousins. And they're also talking about trading Kirk Cousins. So we'll see how that goes as well. What I was looking at specifically for NFL, and I'll give out a play that I did give out for tomorrow. I caught Isaiah Pacheco, his rushing attempts over 15.5. Minus 125 is also minus 120 on PointsBet and Bet365. But I think this number is playable all the way up to probably 17.5. You look at that Denver defense that he'll be facing tomorrow, and teams are running the ball. Denver's the worst rush defense in the league. I can give you guys all the numbers, or you can go fact check me if you want. Every single team that they've played against so far has ran the ball at least 18 times. So I like Isaiah Pacheco tomorrow. Really, really like that spot for him. That's actually probably my favorite bet for tomorrow. As far as this week, I'm looking at Detroit. I know that they're going to Tampa Bay, but I think Detroit's still a buy-on team. I know that they're coming off a really good win against a poor Carolina team. So, it wasn't the greatest spot for, kind of measuring who they are. But I think that because their defense is so good, I think that they're going to be able to slow down, that team and be able to score some points. I trust Jared Goff to be able to go on the road. I trust that defense to be able to come out, continue to play hard. And I think 3 is a tad bit of a gift. I think that they could win the game, by more than a field goal. So I like Detroit. I think the Lions could win, by more than a field goal this weekend. I'm also looking at San Francisco. If you guys have access to Bet Rivers, I want to say it is. They do have a San Francisco first half minus 2.5. The injury news with Deshaun Watson, even though he was able to play, even though he was able to participate in practice, I think yesterday. I don't think he participated in practice today, which is a sign that he's going backwards. I just don't think that he plays. And if he doesn't play, I think that San Francisco will be able to go on the road. Granted, this will be their first road game in a month because they played 3 straight home games. but I do think that defense continues to show up. I know that the you look at the Cleveland Browns, they have a really elite defense as well. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do think that their defense will show up and they'll force some turnovers and at least comfortably be winning the game by a field goal at halftime. So you can get a 2.5 over on Bet Rivers. Everywhere else has a 3, some 3.5s popping up as well. And that line will move if and when Deshaun Watson does get ruled out. I do expect that line to move just a tad bit. So I like San Francisco first half. They've come out and really established themselves early in games, and I don't see a reason why that doesn't continue this week. So that's what I'm kind of looking at in the NFL as far as what I have had a chance to kind of handicap. So yeah, and then I gave out some WNBA plays as well. Like I said, I'm on Liberty plus the 5.5. I'm also on the under 171. Appreciate everybody for tapping in with me, man. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. Subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bells on. Tomorrow, we will be back doing it all again. We'll continue this NBA team win preview. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at the Heat culture, the Miami Heat tomorrow, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, the team I'm extremely, extremely excited to cover, which is the Minnesota Timberwolves. I love Anthony Edwards, as you guys know already. So can't wait to break it down with you guys and give you guys my thoughts on the Minnesota Timberwolves and this Miami Heat team that lost some depth at the guard position. We'll talk about them too tomorrow. Until then, man, best of luck, especially if you guys got any, MLB playoffs. I know that the Phillies are playing the Braves right now, and their game's tied 1-1. So I'm going to jump off here, go grab some dinner, and watch that. But best of luck, man. Y'all be good, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.